Hello and good morning. This is Mark Rome here with a fresh new movie for you. It's been a while since I've seen you, but I knew that it's been a while since you've seen me also, so I thought I'd make this little ditty this morning when we talk about campaigns and elections, or introduction to campaigns and elections. I also noticed when I'm looking at the screen, I'm getting the screenshot of my recording on my glasses against the screen, against my glasses against the screen, so I know there's a lot of reflection there, perhaps a little bit of reflection on my head, but I know that you will overlook that, but not overlook the themes of the talk today. So the first half of the semester, and we're halfway done already, we were focusing more on the core components of the American political system, the Constitution, federalism, civil rights and civil liberties, and so forth. And then we moved for a couple weeks where we looked at the main American political institutions, Congress, the president, the courts, and the bureaucracy. Now we're moving more into the political, what's called the political behavior side of the course, where we're looking at how people operate within the political system, especially in non-governmental institutions. You'll have a chance to read some more from the Coleman book, but also you'll be digging into the book by Sides and other authors on campaigns and elections. And let me just introduce a couple of the main points from the Sides book, relevant for campaigns and elections, but not just for campaigns and elections. The messages, I think, can be much more broadly applied to American political phenomenon. What they are saying, the authors are saying, the four main things that you need to consider, we need to consider if we try to understand campaigns and elections, are the rules, the reality, the strategies, and the choices. Okay, the rules, the reality, the strategies, and choices. So let me give you just a few thoughts on each of those things. And I'll begin with the rules. Okay? Rules are not neutral. Rules shape who will have influence and who will be hindered. And we can think of that in any competition, any kind of sporting competition or political competition, art competition, for example. So we can imagine that, for example, if you raised basketball goals, that would be a neutral rule, but it would advantage some players over other players. Certainly the same is true in politics. Rules affect, for example, well, let me just give you a couple examples of that. So when we think about presidential campaigns, there'll be some states that offer primaries and some states that offer caucuses. Okay, so what difference does it make? Some candidates are likely to do better in caucus states. Other candidates are likely to do better in primary states by the virtue of their skills, their strengths, their campaign strategies, and so forth. We might think about the rules regarding who can vote, how strict the voter ID requirements should be, for example. Now, in thinking about the voter ID requirements, one of the big controversies in American politics in the last couple of years is, should photo IDs be required? Okay, here's the way to think about this. Republicans generally support photo ID requirements and other measures to tighten up the rules for who is eligible to vote and how they can vote, the length of time polls are open, and so forth. Democrats are generally in favor of loosening those restrictions, making it easier for more people to vote in more places and at more times. All right? Now, both the Republicans and Democrats, I believe, have strongly held views that their system is the best for American democracy, with the Republicans wanting to protect the integrity of the voting system and the Democrats seeking to expand the franchise. Okay? So they have their good policy reasons for their rule proposals. But note also that the Republicans favor the rules, the kinds of voting rules, that will make it less likely that voters who tend to vote Democratic will vote. Democrats have their own good reasons for expanding the franchise, but note that the Democrats support those rules not only because they believe them to be good for the country, but because they will believe that those expanding, looser voting rules will make it advantageous for the Democratic Party. So rules matter a lot. Final note on that, notice the people who make the rules are those people who have already succeeded under the existing set of rules. All right, so they already have some vested interest in preserving those rules, but then tweaking them to serve their partisan or political interests. Okay, reality. Now, I'd like to say that reality just is. I mean, there is, there kind of is an air temperature out there. It is either raining or not raining. But in politics, reality is not quite that simple, because most voters, most of us, do not experience a reality directly, but a reality that's presented to us through the media and other organizations. So, in politics, we might think that whether the unemployment rate is rising or falling is relevant, or whether inflation is growing or shrinking. Okay? Well, we don't experience those things. We might experience them immediately, but in terms of the numbers, is unemployment going up or going down, inflation rising or falling, those are filtered to us in various ways. So people involved in politics look at a reality, but they try to think about how they can present that reality in ways that will be more favorable to their interests. So Hillary Clinton is a female, right? So that's the reality. But whether her being a female is politically relevant and in what ways it is politically relevant will be influenced by a wide variety of actors trying to shape her image should she choose to run for the presidency in 2016. Either shape the reality of her being female in either a positive or negative way. So those who are active try to shape the reality, but we also have to recognize that we, the voters, receive the reality or perceive the reality differently. So some people looking at economic data may put a great amount of weight on unemployment or inflation. They may put a lot of weight as to whether we think we are going to war and whether that war is worth fighting in or not. So there's perceptions being shaped by those in the political realm, but also that reality is filtered through our own perceptions of that. Okay, strategic choices. Now, strategic choices are where reality and rules in some ways come together in that the candidates, the parties, other interest groups try to use those rules and shape the reality in ways that are advantageous to their interests. So regarding candidates, we might want to think, given who someone is, where they're from, their background, those are all parts of the reality, but they will use those things selectively to try to portray a particular image about who they are, what they stand for, and what they hope to achieve. The strategies regarding raising money. Candidates, political parties, groups will want to raise money, but raising money is actually harder than it may look. You have to be strategic in how you approach people, how you make that sales pitch. Because when you think about it, when you are asking for money in the political realm, you're not able to provide the buyer, the person who's donating, a car or a TV or an iPhone. Okay? You're selling them on an idea about why they should give. Okay? And that idea, the idea and who it's pitched to, how it's pitched and so forth, those are clear matters of political strategy. What kind of ads do you make? Where do you show these ads? How often do you show these ads? Do you show positive ads or negative ads? Those are all matters of political strategy that the players in the political game think a lot about and trying to come up with the strategies that will allow them to win and to gain power for their party and for their ideas. So rules, reality, strategies, and the fourth element that we'll be focusing on a lot in the next couple of weeks are the choices people have. So we can think about, again, real choices. You have to vote for either candidate A or candidate B or candidate C. But you might think in terms of how those choices are influenced, how important is your political party? How important is your political ideology? Are there particular issues that are especially important for you? Did the campaigns of the candidates, their strategic choices, did they influence the way that you think about the kinds of decisions that you face? So again, these are highly complex matters, simple to describe in terms of rules, reality, strategies, and choices, but there's a rich, rich mix of them in how they play out in any particular campaign or campaign season will determine who ultimately gains power and who goes back home. So I look forward to seeing you again soon. More fresh videos are coming. You guys have a great week, and I'll talk to you again later.